Call hello, Yahweh Bashim, Yahushua Bashim, and Crocodiles. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalom and salutation to you brothers out here, personal words of truth and sincerity. Shalom. This picture right here is homelessness in Israel, the state of Israel. You ever wondered why there's homelessness in the state of Israel? Should there be homelessness in the state of Israel? These people are, noted as having the highest IQs and they stick together and whatnot. But did you ever really notice that homelessness occurs even in their state? Right? They're freed from oppression. They're back inside their holy land, so-called. You ever noticed why there's still homelessness? Salakia. Well, the answer is, look at this, 25,000 people said homeless in Israel. Because according to the ancient law, you had Hebrew slaves. You had Hebrew servants. Hebrews could have other Hebrews as servants. So we wouldn't need for homelessness, because as long as that person's able-bodied, they can be a slave of another Hebrew male family. That's where the Jubilee. So I'm going to speak on the year of Jubilee a little bit. The Jubilee, this according to Wikipedia, is the year at the end of 7 cycles of sabbatical years, and according to biblical regulations, had a special impact on the ownership and management of land in the land of Israel. A special impact on the ownership and management of land in the land of Israel. According to the book of Leviticus, Hebrew slaves and prisoners would be freed. So guess what? You will be a slave, but only for so long. You get back on your feet and you be freed. Because what puts you into this condition? No money. There's no more money. You hit hard times. It happens to the best of us. You hit rock bottom. Your parents lost their job. Family member died who is financially supported. You might have got kicked out. That's what causes homelessness. But there's a little something also called a wealth gap and greed that causes homelessness. But we'll get to that later. Back to the Jubilee. According to the book of Leviticus, Hebrew slaves and prisoners would be freed, debts would be forgiven, and the mercies of Yahweh would be particularly manifest. Let's go down. I'm reading from here. The Jubilee year release deals largely with land, property, and property rights. So I'll read that again. The year Jubilee or the Jubilee or year release deals largely with land, property rights. You know why? Because according to Deuteronomy 32, the Lord divided the lot. The Lord had divided his inheritance, the land of Israel, and divided that land according to the lot of the children of Israel. He divided the earth according to the lot that the children of Israel got first, which was the Holy Land. Then the rest of the nations got their piece. So amongst the Holy Land, you had 12 tribes. So the Holy Land is divided into 12 different parts. And amongst those 12 parts, each man had his own lot, his own piece of land, his own property, and rights to property through his father's line. And as times went on, you might have to lose your father's line. You come in hard times, you become homeless. You might end up a Hebrew slave with no inheritance. Well, once that 50th year came and the year Jubilee began, you officially got back all your father's things, all your father's lands, and all your father's property. It says here, Israeli stamp commemorating the Jewish National Fund and quoting Leviticus 25 and 23. The land must not be sold permanently. The land must not be sold permanently. You see, you can sell your land, but you can't permanently get rid of what is your father's line, what belongs to generations after you. It says the biblical rules concerning sabbatical years are still observed by many religious Jews in Israel, but the regulations for the Jubilee year have not been observed for many centuries. You see, they don't observe their own laws. It says, according to the Torah, observance of Jubilee only applies when the Jewish people live in the land of Israel according to their tribes. Thus, with the exile of the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh about 600 BC, Jubilee has not been applicable. They're denying that they can't even keep the laws. They're acknowledging that they can't keep the laws. You see these people? Leviticus 25 and 8 says, you shall cut off 7 Sabbath years. I'm reading to 13. I'm reading what's on the screen. 7 times 7 years. And there shall be to you the days of 7 Sabbath of years, even 49 years. Then you shall sound the trumpet on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of atonement you shall sound the trumpet throughout all your land. You shall make the 50th year holy and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee to you, and each of you shall return to his property, and each of you shall return to his family. So all of this, 20,000 homeless in the state of Israel, that's because they don't keep their own laws. Period. If they're really the people, they'd be keeping their own laws in their holy land that the Lord returned them to. But that's not the case here. They stole that land, and then they don't belong there. They're not the people. They're not the chosen. They're self-proclaimed. Let's read on. You shall make the 50th year holy and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be jubilee to you, and each of you shall return to his property, and each of you shall return to his family. That 50th year shall be a jubilee to you. In it you shall not sow, neither reap that which grows of itself, nor gather from the undressed vines. For it is a jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You shall eat of its increase out of the field. In this year of jubilee, each of you shall return to his property. That's the WEB version. So we can see clearly it's about getting back your property that you might have lost and being freed of all debts. Clearly. Now, if they came into that land in 1948, my math ain't all that good, but it sounds like it's a little over 50 years later. This shouldn't be going on. Homelessness in their land shouldn't be going on. Everybody should have got their father's property back. Or clear the debts, at least. Let's go into this. Let's go into money. Ecclesiastes 10:5 and 10. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. You know why? Because there's a situation going on with the money. Something called a world wealth gap. According to Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report, the world's richest 1%, those with more than $1 million, own 44% of the world's wealth. Do you see the distribution? That 1% got a 44% of the pie. Imagine you got 100 people and you got one pie, or 100 people and 100 pies, and one person walks up and grabs 44 pies. The rest is left to deal with the 66 left. That's what we dealing with in this world as far as money goes. And you never get that money back. It says their data also shows that adults with less than 10,000 in wealth make up 56.6% of the world's population. but hold less than 2% of the wealth. So what does that mean? That 56 people out of 100 have to fight over 2% of the wealth, 2% of the pies. Out of the 100 pies, and 100 people, 56 people are fighting over 2 pies, while one person grabbed 44 pies. That's what we're dealing with here. Welcome to the world. As of Q3 2019, the bottom 50% of households had 1.6 trillion or 1.6% of the net worth. Once again, 50% of the people is like 50 out of 100. That out of 100 pies, they got to fight over 1.6 pies. 50 people fighting over 1.6 pies. Wow, it says the versus 74.5 trillion or 70% for the top 10%. So that means 10 people in the top got to eat 70% of the pies, or 70 pies for 10 people. That's what it's like living in this world. That's what it's always been like. Welcome to the world full of greed, envy, lust. 1 Timothy 6:9, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. So there it is. They're not going to end up on the right side of the scale. They're going to be weighed, tried, and found wanting, because their greed got to them. Their greed causes them to be evil towards others. Luke 12:15, and he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness, which means wanting other people's stuff. For a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth. It ain't about what you got. It ain't about materialism, like it says here. It's about being content with what you already have and not trying to abound in more possessions. 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. You can't love the Lord and love money. Impossible. You gotta choose one. You can only serve one God. The people that serve money, you're gonna come up short. That money's not gonna be able to deliver you in the times that we're headed towards. Mark 8:36, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? So we dealing with men that have gained the world because they're rich and famous and wealthy, but they'll lose their soul because that money, they can't take it with them when the Lord judges their ass. Therefore, Matthew 6:19, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. And how you do that? By learning the truth of the Holy Bible. Getting wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of what it's all about. What's written and for times to come, and what's written concerning the people of the Lord, the chosen elect. It's all in here. And also doing the deeds that the Lord requires, because faith without works is dead. So you continuing to do what the Lord requires of his men in these end times, which is furthering his word and doing right unto his men, and believing and having faith, storing up treasure in heaven. And that's what it's all about, man. Lord willing, this video was edifying. Until next time, shalom.